Welcome back, everybody. Guess what time it is? It's time for that week 2 recap of the Ruby Sundays Fantasy Football League. Now, first and foremost, I'm going to be getting a lot of trash talk. There's a lot of talk going on about how I'm 0-2, about how the commissioner's in last place. I got news for you. It won't last. My team is stacked. I'm okay. I'll be all right. But enough talk about that. We'll talk about, the game of the week, which I was a part of. We'll talk about that in a minute. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and recap the games for the week. Let's go ahead and start off in the South region. In the South region, we had Trainwrecks going up against Caca. In looking at this game, it wasn't really a high scoring game, honestly. Trainwrecks, Tom Brady didn't show up. They actually lost that game. Tom Brady got him 9 points. Guys like Julius Jones didn't do nearly what they did in the first week. T.O. finally got himself a touchdown. Tony Gonzalez has been consistent, but outside of that, Wes Welker didn't even play, so I don't even know how that happened. Caca, again over 100 points, a solid week. Drew Brees, anybody with Drew Brees on their team is pretty much set every week. As long as he's playing, you know that you're good, that he's good for at least 25 points. So, that's always good. Put in guys like Ahmad Bradshaw, didn't really pan out for him. Darren McFadden got himself a touchdown, first touchdown of the year. Marcus Colston played well, but again, it's that Drew Brees connection. So really and truly, you can call Caca the Saints. I mean, with Colston and Brees, that's really what's going to carry him for the rest of the year. So it'll be interesting to see if that can carry him, if the Saints don't do as well as they've been doing right now with 2-0. Now, next game we want to talk about is going to be the other game in the South region, and that's going to be between Aliens and Texas Sledgehammers. That one, Aliens came out on top, 129.2 to 110.05. It's not like last week where Texas Sledgehammers pulled it through in the end. He actually wasn't able to pull through with guys like Zach Miller, in those later games. Aliens came out strong. Phillip Rivers had himself a ball game. Cleveland Portis really hasn't done much all year. It'll be interesting to see if the Redskins can actually start scoring some points. Michael Turner finally got himself a touchdown, really got going. Lee Evans played well for Aliens. Vincent Jackson, probably breakout receiver of the year right there. He had 141 yards and a touchdown. The guy's looking extremely beastly right now. He's got Phillip Rivers and Vincent Jackson, Aliens does, and so that could be a lethal combination. Owen Daniels benefited from Matt Schaub's big week, and Patriots defense did all right for him. And looking over at Texas Sledgehammers, again, over 100 points, a solid week, but just wasn't good enough because you were playing against a guy with 129. Matt Schaub absolutely went off, 357 yards, 4 touchdowns. Adrian Peterson had actually somewhat of a quiet week, 92 yards, 1 touchdown, but still got him 15.6 points. Steve Smith finally got on track with 17.1 points. Reggie Wayne kind of let him down. Zach Miller didn't let you down. Our favorite quarterback, Jamarcus Russell, unfortunately, let you down there. I think he was like 7-24 for like 80 yards or something, man. But Nate Kading got you 14 points, so there's some bonus points there, but I guess that kind of makes it for the Dolphins defense, which only got you 4 points. So again, another divisional game. It looks like everybody in that division is 1-1. I mean, that's essentially what happens when everybody beats everybody once. And so from a division standpoint, everybody's got one win over everybody else. So really won't affect all that much. And so let's go ahead and get one more game in this recap, and let's go ahead and do the first game from the West region, and that is going to be Thunder from Down Under against Big D. Now, going into this one, based on what Thunder from Down Under had done last week with 155 points, you would just assume that he would just, come in here and just kind of take control. But when Tony Romo has a game like he had this past week, and as a result, Roy Williams has a week that he had this past week, it's not going to bode well for you. So Big D came out with a big victory, 96.45 points against Thunder from Down Under, 77.35. For Big D, Aaron Rodgers finally did a little bit of what he had done in the preseason with 20.35 points. Steven Jackson, he still hasn't scored a touchdown yet this season, but ran for over 100 yards, 11.9 points. Kevin Smith only got him 7.3. He probably had a fumble in there, some turnover. Fred Jackson, Fred Jackson got him 22.8 points, and yes, I know I released him, but hey, glad to see that he's contributing to somebody's team. Anquan Bolden still hasn't really gotten off the schneid for the beginning of this season. Eddie Royal, same thing, only 2 points. Wow. Antonio Gates, 8.8. Chris Brown, 10 points. Chargers defense, only 5 points. So, Big D, it was a big victory, but, he probably isn't happy with the overall output at just 96.45. So hopefully he can kind of pick that up as the season progresses. Guys like Steven Jackson and Kevin Smith getting going, to make up for the points that Fred Jackson might not be making once Marshawn Lynch comes back. Thunder from Down Under, again, it was just a story of Romo and the Cowboys. When the Cowboys lose, chances are Thunder from Down Under is probably going to lose too. Brian Westbrook also didn't do much for him, only 6.6 points, although D'Angelo Williams had 15.1. Braylon Edwards had 11.2. Chris Cooley had 10.3, but really just not any big-time players on his team. On his bench, he had Eli Manning, who scored 28.7 points. And if you look at his optimum, he's probably kicking himself. If he starts Eli Manning and maybe Tim Hightower, then he's looking at a win right now. So, unfortunately, his team is you always got to try and maximize, the output, but that's the essence of fantasy football. That's the essence of managing and coaching your team. So we'll see how that pans out. A big victory for Big D, and we'll pick back up with the rest of the games here in a minute.